Welcome to another episode of Go Deeper with GBLOC. This week, we're so excited to interview our GBLOC Creative Director, Andrea Pascual. She is also a fashion designer, podcast host, and brand strategist. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you, Sheila.
So, Andrea, tell us your why. What do you consider to be your purpose or mission in the world, and what experiences in your life have shaped that?
First, this was a very difficult question for me, but as I think about it now, it is it's just foundational to who I am, and my why is to make people feel something, to inspire them.
Hmm.
Um, and what shaped that is I'm an artist. I've always been trying to express how I feel and just paint a reflection of the world around me through my art, and not just visual art, but writing and design is an art as well. And at the end of the day, when I think about it, I want to make people feel something with my work.
Amazing. And what is the one big idea you would like to imbue in the world, and why? What do you hope will happen as a result?
You know what? Uh, because I want to make people feel something, I think my one big idea is to just inspire them. And I want them to know that they can do what they crave to do or what they feel in their heart to do. And I feel this so strongly being an artist, as well, practicing design, practicing fashion. It's it's a tough journey for creatives, in my opinion, and I want to inspire creatives or people like myself who go through roadblocks and have hardships just trying to get to where they want to be. You can do this. I also know that we are on this planet for such a short time. I want to inspire people to make the most out of it, follow your heart. And it sounds so corny and cheesy, but I truly believe that once we step into our true purpose and who we are, then we're so much happier and we can build together so much more.
That's beautiful. One of the questions, just based on that, and I'll give you a little bit of time to think about
Mhm.
it, but
Yes.
how do you inspire people? Like, what are the ways that you inspire people?
Yes. Okay. So one of the things that I've been doing, well, I actually started it last year, and it's for my creative entrepreneurial community. So, graphic designers, photographers, fashion designers, writers. I started a podcast. It's called Sushi Fridays. And I just think just the conversations alone, I've had such great feedback, and kind of like what we're doing right now, sharing about ourselves, sharing about our stories. I think that's enough to spark someone's thinking, to inspire them, to help them in some way or another. Um, and yeah, Sushi Fridays, sharing stories, other creatives. I feel like that's one way that I'm inspiring people.
Great. Thank you so much for that. So, what are the ways in which you cultivate meaningful connections, and how does your big idea play into that?
Okay. One of the ways I cultivate meaningful connections, I think it's being present with my community. So showing up for them, showing up for my peers, supporting them. Like if they have an art show or a cool design show, I'm showing up for you because we're in this together. I know what it's like. So that's one way I cultivate community. And another way that I did previously, I actually curated my own community of other designers. Um, and I felt that that was so helpful for us because we leaned on each other, we learned from each other, and we built our businesses together. And I think that's super important.
Awesome. And what are the contributions you make in the world, and how does your big idea play into that? And you've spoken to it a little bit, but is there anything else that we
Mm.
might be missing when you think about the word contribution?
Mhm. Um, okay, so storytelling, being present for my peers and my community. I also think just the act of sharing my art is how I contribute.
Mm.
Um, and this is a note to self. I want to get into. I want to spend more time doing practicing my visual art. For as an example, art for me is another way to tell stories and inspire. Um, and a couple years back, I was part of this exhibit that was focused on brain health. So we had our art pieces all over the city, and just sharing my visual art in that form alone taught people about brain health and mental health, things like that. So I feel like I contribute through my art. What message can I share with the world through my art?
That's beautiful. Thank you. So what communities are you part of and why? How do they add value to your life?
The big obvious one is GBLOC. I am part of GBLOC because we are such a cool group of leaders, creatives, business owners, just a global group of influential and inspirational people. And it adds value to my life because I'm a sponge. I love learning, and I just want to be where I can gather info and inspiration and level up myself by being around people who are a couple steps ahead of me or know more about one thing than I do. So GBLOC for sure.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I'm with you. Like we represent such a diverse we yeah, we represent such a diverse group of people because we're from different countries, we're from different fields, different interests. So I think we can really learn from each other a lot. So I appreciate that very much. So what's missing in the community? So you spoke about GBLOC, but I'm gonna ask you to think a little broader. But what's missing in the
Hmm.
communities that you're part of, and what kind of community would you like to be in now?
Hmm. So I tend to spend a lot of time in the creative community,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel what's missing in those communities are just learning about the business aspect of things, just how to grow your business, how to scale. It's not just what can I creatively share and how can I share my story? It's how do you make your creativity a sustainable, viable source of income? I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that is missing. So the communities that I want to be part of now that I'm seeking are communities like GBLOC where people have built, they're years ahead of me and they've built and they have sustainable businesses. That's what I want to be part of.
Great. So my next question for you is what types of contacts or connections are you looking for now, if any?
This is a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so I have a lot of creatives in my orbit right now. I am looking for more business-minded people or business leaders. Um, at the same time, I just want a whole bunch of different other kinds of people.
Yeah.
I want to be around like who is the coolest chef in Toronto? That's who I want to be around, or other podcasters or things like that. I just like finding the weirdos like me, the people who are a little quirky and doing fun things on the outskirts. Those are the kind of people that I want to be around.
Okay. So what qualities and values do you look for in new connections that you make?
Empathy is one thing. It is high on my list. I want to be around people who are empathetic, as well, people who are just open to having a conversation, quite honestly, because for me, that's the first point of contact before we start. It's the first thing that happens before we build a friendship, a business relationship, whatever the case. Can we have a really cool conversation? I don't want to talk about the traffic in the city. I want to talk about what are you excited about? I want to share in that and be excited with you. So,
Yeah, I hear you.
mhm.
So I want to talk, I would love to give you some space to talk a little bit about your fashion brand. Um,
Ooh,
what inspired you to get into fashion um, and why do you love it?
I love design first and foremost. Um, My background was in graphic design and branding first, and I really wanted to get into editorial design, magazine. And then it was the recession way back when. So some of the magazines I wanted to work for folded. And then I thought, okay, you know what? I'm an artist. I love working with my hands. Fashion is it because I've always loved it. And as I learned the craft, as I learned specifically how to how to make footwear and handbags by hand, I just truly appreciated the amount of work that goes into the items that we wear. So that's what I love. I'm big on quality and who's making my items and who am I supporting by working with people to make my items. I really care about building a brand that has strong values, not just your fast fashion brand next door. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So I think building the fashion brand now, years later, it's not just me showing, okay, these are some cool designs. That's cool. That's taken care of. It's more about the ecosystem around it. So where am I sourcing? Who am I supporting with the factories that I work with? And as well as in my brand storytelling, who are the faces that are showing up for me? And I'm saying these are the people who represent my values. There's a
mm,
lot involved, but I I want to make a difference. I don't want to be that fast fashion brand next door. You know, I want the whole ecosystem around my brand to be sustainable and
mm.
share my values.
Great. I wanted to give you a little opportunity to plug your fashion brand.
Thank you.
So I believe in it too, and I love your products. So I guess the last question would be, what kind of conversations do you want to have with people inside of the community, inside of GBLOC?
Ooh, I think I'm interested in continuing the fashion, if not supply chain conversation,
Mm,
because it's just it's not just fashion material. I know fast fashion is one of the big culprits to global warming.
mm,
Um, and there's so many people that are part of that puzzle. I want to continue, like who is part of that and how can we build and make change from the top, you know? So I'd love to continue that conversation as well. Where are the creatives? I know you're a musician, so I want to find the other creatives, the other people who sing, the painters, even the comedians. Stand-up comedy is an art that I'm obsessed with. Where are those outsider people? Those are the kind of conversations that I want to have in G Block. And how can I support them as well?
that's amazing. So before we close, is there anything else you'd like to share with the community?
First off, thank you, Sheila, for asking me all these questions. Thank you for this.
My pleasure.
Um, G Block, I'm so excited to be here. And I just want to share we're working on some cool things. We are working on some really fun programming for you. I am so excited for the next couple of months as we roll out the programming. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of new connections are going to be made, and a lot of learning and leveling up as well. So tune in.
Okay. Thank you. So on that note, thank you so much, Andrea, for your time today. And I can't wait to see what kind of connections you make over the next few months here at GBLOC.
Thanks, Sheila.